The mid-season break in F1 is here. We're on a break, but we got Juan Pablo Montoya here to talk to us about the season in F1, getting us ready for the second half of the year, looking back at the first half of the year. Juan, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going really well. It's been amazing. Actually, it's been a bit of a break for me as well. My parents' 50th wedding anniversary was last week, so we were good family time, put it that way.
Well, happy anniversary to them. And let's dig right into the F1 here. We had an interesting first half of the season where Max Verstappen just absolutely dominated. He's currently at minus 1,200 to win the F1 World Championship this year. So no real value at all there. We kind of know what's coming. Talk about Max's first half and what we should expect from him in the coming months here. I believe there's 9 races left on the F1 slate.
So I think something that is very interesting with the F1, the way it's going at the moment, is that Ferrari came up with the fastest car, and they haven't really used it that well. You have to say, they made a lot of mistakes, and everybody's wondering, are they going to put it together? And when they do, is the car still going to be fast enough? The other big question mark is, coming out of the break, the rumor is that Mercedes has a big upgrade coming for their cars, and if that's the case, you know what's going to happen. You know what's coming. Mercedes really come up with a car, and it's something that it was really cool to see from Mercedes is they stayed with their car. Everybody, looked at what Red Bull did and kind of sales shift towards the Red Bull and the Ferrari thing, their way of thinking of the car, and Mercedes stayed with them, with their way of doing their car, and it was very interesting. It's very exciting. I think one of the big question marks there, when Mercedes comes in, if Ferrari steps up and Mercedes start beating Red Bull, it can be really bad. But if Mercedes start getting in between Ferrari and Red Bull starts scoring even more points, then it's, as you said, it's a cruise for Max. You still got to remember, there's still half a championship to go. So you can't count your eggs yet, because you've seen drivers make mistakes. They all do. I would say we all do. But I think that's an important thing. If Red Bull cannot get complacent how good they're running at the moment and how things keep turning up their way. As everything, you look at the last race in Budapest, they were starting 10th. And nobody thought they were going to win the race, and nobody were even thinking about it. Ferrari was racing to defend Mercedes, and when they realized what happened, it's like, oh my God, we got beat again by Red Bull. How can that happen? And they're just putting themselves in bad situation over and over again.
So, Juan, you talked about Red Bull, and they're currently the favorites for the Constructors' Cup for 2022. They're sitting at minus 1,000. Again, heavy favorites heading into the second half of the year. Behind them is Ferrari at plus 700 and Mercedes at plus 1,200 for some context there. Do you think Mercedes could be worth a few dollars here? Maybe you take a flyer with big stuff on the way. They have had a surprising season out of Lewis Hamilton. So what do you think here for Mercedes as maybe a dark horse play for the Constructors' Cup, or are we really just looking at Red Bull taking this thing?
Well, I think the big question mark that everybody needs to pay attention to is the next race or the next couple of races. My personal thing, I think everybody's going to come up with big upgrades. And I think everybody's going to, Mercedes is going to still get better against everybody else, but everybody else in the field is going to stay very constant, because they all keep developing and making the cars better to drive, easier to drive. Everybody's getting a little more comfortable with the new package, understanding the new package. So I think the way of everybody developing the car is going to be very similar, but I think Mercedes still outdevelops everybody else. That's my 2 cents. So the question is, as you said, is Mercedes step so big that they're going to start winning every race, and they're going to win the last 9 races, and they're going to do 1 to 7 or 8 times, and they have a shot at the Constructors Championship? why everybody else fumbles, or their step is, okay, we're starting to fight against the Red Bull and Mercedes and we're just there. That is the more realistic version of what I see coming. I see, Mercedes might have a shot at winning a couple of races this year if the development goes well, but you got to remember that it's not Mercedes developing and everybody else staying still. Everybody's working. Everybody thinks their development and their ideas are the best. So when everybody thinks their idea is the best, what do we have? 100 great ideas that everybody's the best? It's kind of those deals that everybody's coming up with new things. Everybody thinks their packages are better. And I think Mercedes has the tendency to have always the better development than anybody else. Red Bull is very good at it. I think Ferrari started with a very strong package, and Ferrari should be leading the points by now by a mile. And I think today they still have, I think, the pace to win the races, but they just keep beating themselves. That's the hard thing. And if they understand and figure out what they need to do and how to, look at it and strategize a little better, then they can win a lot of races. But, you looked at over and over again. You looked at Monaco, you look at here, the last in Hungary, and there's so many more races that you go, oh my God, they throw this one away. Oh my God, they threw the next one away. Oh my God, they threw the next one away. It's like they're so afraid of making decisions, in my opinion, that is what's really hurting them. It's not that they're not doing an amazing job, because they built the best car this year. But they're in that position, when you're so good that you're like, let's not screw it up. When you're thinking not screw it up and somebody else is thinking we got you, you're completely screwed. Because their mentality, everything, the way they do the strategy, at Red Bull is pretty amazing. Red Bull, I think what Red Bull has is that they're not afraid of losing. They have this attitude that it doesn't matter if we get it wrong, we tried. Where Ferrari's mentality is, let's not screw it up because we can win.
Well, so with everything you said about Ferrari, does that make them maybe the most disappointing team of 2022 so far for you? They've had success, but it seems like you think they could have had even more.
They should have had a lot more success, but how are you going to say it's disappointing when they built the fastest race car and they came from running mid-pack to be winning races? They did a massive step with the car, with their engine, with everything. There's a lot, you look at the field, it's crazy. Like, I was expecting, for example, Aston to be really strong this year, and they were not. Like, they started the season half good, and as the seasons got on, they kept getting worse. So that's very difficult, because when you start doing development to the car and bringing new things, and it doesn't relate in lap time, then you have a problem, because it means what you're designing and what you're putting on the track, it doesn't match. And that's a big problem, because now where you start wondering, where are we missing on the process? And that's a difficult one. And I think a lot of teams have gone through that. And until the things don't line up well, then it's very hard to move forward, because you take the car in the wind tunnel and all this, CFD work you do, like basically the CFD is basically a model on a computer that simulates the air and what the car is supposed to do with all the wind and everything. And they do a lot of the development of the car there. And you put all these pieces together and you put it on the track. Okay, the simulation says it's 4 times quicker, and you put it on the track and you go the same speed. You start wondering, where is the problem? And until you don't understand where the leak is, or where we're losing all that downforce, then it doesn't matter how much more new stuff you bring, because none of them will work, because it doesn't relate to the real car.
I'm here with Juan Pablo Montoya talking about F1 at the midseason break. And Juan, let's talk a little bit about Daniel Ricciardo, one of these guys that has been a star from the Netflix series, but has had a really rough year racing. What's been going wrong with Daniel Ricciardo, and can you see him turning it around in the second half?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. You know, there's a lot of rumors going around that he's going to get replaced next year. That I don't know exactly what's going on. I just, you know, I know what everybody knows, what you hear, that is, you know, that they're going to buy him out, that, you know, he's not going to be with McLaren next year. I don't know. Will this maybe change his mentality and the situation, and he might put him in a better place, or might make it actually worse? You don't know. You know what I mean? He might, all of a sudden they say you're out, and he takes all the pressure off and starts performing like he doesn't have anything to lose, and the performance comes, or he doesn't care and he goes a lot worse. That's the hard part right there, because I'm sure he wants to stay in F1, and there's, you know, at the moment there's a couple of good seats out there, you know, with Fernando moving to Aston. That seat that's a premium seat at the moment. You know what I mean? If you look at it, like, I understand, like, I think Piastri today must be wondering, did I did the right decision, you know, with all these rumors? Am I the right decision going to McLaren? Or should I stay in Alpine, that they have a quicker car than McLaren at the moment? You know what I mean? Which one do you go for? That's where it makes it very tough.
So we're looking at Lewis Hamilton's season here. He's had 5 straight podium results. I mean, he's the legend, right? Are we looking at him maybe extending his career a little bit further than we thought? I know I saw a report saying that it looks like he may race past 2023, where that was possibly up in the air before. What do you think about Lewis Hamilton's season so far, and what do you think about his racing moving forward?
I think my 2 cents, Lewis is enjoying racing at the moment. He really enjoys going to the track and driving the car, and he has no pressure. You know what I mean? At the point where he's at the moment, he's no pressure. He just loves driving the car. And I think as long as he feels he's competitive, then he will race. I think the point he starts feeling struggling to be on pace, then he'll might stop. I think everybody, I would say, I was a little surprised to see how strong he's running against George, especially how strong George ran when he ran that Mercedes before. George has done a really good job in qualifying, but I think Lewis is starting to get the better of him, and that's a reality.
Juan, before we let you go, we have the Belgian Grand Prix as the next race when F1 gets back in action. Verstappen is the favorite to win that race at -110. Obviously, things can change in the odds market after qualifying, but early look ahead at the Belgian Grand Prix. Who do you like to win that race? Whose car works best on that track?
My money would be on Charles. I'm normally a big Max guy to win all these races, but I think that track might be a Ferrari track. You know what I mean? It's a strong track. It's a fast track. You know, they have a lot of pace. I think Red Bull has a lot of pace too. It's a good track, I think, for a guy like Checo. I think I performed really, really well there as well. There's tracks, I think, like Budapest. Budapest is very difficult. It's very technical, and it's very hard to get a lap time out of you. Where at Spa, it just flows a lot easier. The lap time comes a lot easier. So I think Checo's gonna be right there. I think Max is gonna be right there. But if I would put a bet today, my bet today would be probably in Charles with the Ferrari.
Juan Pablo Montoya, thank you so much for the time. We are here at the mid-season break for F1. We'll be checking in with you down the line.
Thank you.